A lot of people on the internet will say that in order to discharge a damaged battery, that you want to like plug it into like a charger and discharge it, or throw it in some salt water or some other bullshit. But in all honesty, this is 100% the safest way to do it, but the most dangerous way to do it. But we're on concrete here, so it's safe, it's controlled.
Yeah,
and
we're professionals.
We're professionals. Yep, exactly. We're all over 30, so we're good.
Oh shit, that scared the fuck out of me.
I can hear them say, bad company, and I won't deny. Bad company, till the day I die. Yeah, till the day I die.
So in a recent episode of the Talk to a podcast, the Hawk to a girl was discussing with her guest the various nuances of FPV freestyle. And she was saying that it's really hard to define what FPV freestyle is because so many different people define it in so many different ways. Now, I don't want to misquote what she said, so I'm going to read the exact quote as she said it. She said, "I like to define FPV freestyle as doing acrobatic maneuvers with an FPV quadcopter in waves and in locations that could potentially have devastating effects on your aircraft if you were to crash, such as flying in abandoned buildings and through concrete architecture." Now, it's also important to note that she did further clarify this statement by saying, "I want to make it clear that just because you aren't flying in these places and you're doing tricks in open fields or near trees, that doesn't mean you're not doing freestyle. It's more important to think about how are we flying in these locations. If you aren't willing to take risks and try new maneuvers, and if all you're doing is cruise around in a park, that's not really freestyle." Now, personally, I don't agree with her full assessment here because I think that freestyle can be many different things. Now, I was able to talk to the Hawk to a girl to try to figure out exactly what she meant when she was talking about FPV freestyle and, you know, just get a little bit more of a clarification.
So what about you? You went from like wiggle dicking, you know?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to ask you something really quickly. Recently you made some comments about FPV freestyle, and I was just curious if you could elaborate on that a little bit more.
Yeah, and I was intoxicated that night. That's when we were in Nashville and I was jumping over fences.
Wait, you were drunk when you said that? Does that mean that you didn't mean what you said, or?
What the fuck does that mean?
I mean, you're the one that said you were drunk, so I'm not really sure what that means. I just wanted to talk about FPV.
What does that mean exactly?
FPV means first person view, like FPV drone, like you're viewing the drone through goggles, but I thought that you already knew that.
She told me to keep my mouth shut. Yeah, let's not get onto that. Actually,
you do know that I make FPV drone type content online, right?
Yeah, see, and before like we even figured that out, just white milk by itself, I will not drink it unless like there's been an Oreo in it.
Unfortunately, that conversation just left me with more questions than it did answers. Questions that really had nothing to do with FPV, but I guess I shouldn't be surprised. Either way, I'm going to just try my best to sort of define what I feel like FPV freestyle is. And now you may disagree, and that's fine, but this is just my opinion. Now, personally, I think that FPV freestyle is basically flying your FPV drone for essentially any purpose that isn't for racing or to try and get footage for something, such as, you know, filming for a film or doing commercial video work. I wouldn't classify racing and commercial video work as freestyle. So just overall, large bird's eye view of how I determine what FPV freestyle is. Anytime that you go out to fly your FPV drone with no real purpose, where maybe the only goal that you have is to A, have fun, and B, to potentially improve your skills at piloting an FPV drone. It's not like if you go out and fly your FPV drone and do zero tricks, but then tell people you're doing freestyle. It doesn't matter. It's not like someone's gonna die as a result of that. There's no regulation to how you wanna call whatever you wanna call what you're doing with your FPV drone. The only people that are really gonna care are the weirdos who take this shit way too seriously. You know, sometimes I do actually like flying around trees and in parks and stuff, but most of the time I like flying places like this and doing crazy stuff. I mean, this isn't really that crazy, but this is pretty crazy. I don't necessarily think that you have to go out and fly your FPV drone and do wild and crazy tricks every time to consider it freestyle. You could be doing freestyle and just cruising. Everything can be freestyle if you want it to be. Because I want to consider that there are a lot of people out there who fly FPV who don't have access to places like this school. Maybe they live in a very rural area and the only real places to fly are like cornfields or parks. If that's all you have access to, but you like flying freestyle, then you're flying freestyle. Now, I do want to make a suggestion to the people who do live in rural areas who say to me all the time in my comments, oh, I don't have anywhere cool to fly because I live in the middle of nowhere. There's nowhere cool to fly. And that may be true. Some of you, there may really be nowhere cool to fly. But there is one little trick that you can do. Go on Google Maps in the area you live. And if there are any train lines where you live, look in Google Maps and follow the train lines. And sometimes there are abandoned buildings on those train lines. Also, you may not feel comfortable flying in certain locations, flying through concrete because you don't want to break all your stuff. And that's completely understandable. Breaking your stuff sucks, especially if you can't afford to purchase new things. So it's not just like, oh, if you only fly concrete in bandos in schools and shit like that, 'cause that's absurd because not everyone has access to those things. Or do they feel comfortable flying in those areas? So if you only feel comfortable flying in parks because you know that the damage that grass or a tree may do to your drone is far less than, you know, smacking concrete at 45 miles an hour, then just stick in the parks. Find stuff in the parks, find gaps in trees, stuff like that. If you want to get good at doing, you know, Matty flips, power loops, trippy spins, you can do those things on trees. You don't have to do architecture. There's no rules here. The word says it. It's a freestyle. Whatever style you want, it's free. You don't even have to pay for it because it's free. The word free is in the name. So just fly the FPV drones. It's fun. That's all I really want to say is just fly your fucking drone. That's all that matters. Nothing else matters. This video doesn't even matter. Another important thing to note here is that racing is racing. But I guess technically, since freestyle has no rules, I guess racing could be freestyle. Sure, why not? If we're just making shit up now, it's all made up. It's all made up. It doesn't matter. So even if racing is technically not freestyle by how everyone defines it, I'm just gonna say it can be. I don't care. Sue me. How many more? Did I get all of them? Damn, that one is a lot. This one's definitely igniting.
Bad company, and I won't deny.
Well, that's never happened before.
Bad company, till the day I die.
I wonder what water will do.